welcome back to Glenarthen, and early-ish start in October, and we had a bunch of milk to sell, so I'm going to get that done first, and then we need to turn around the potato field. So yeah, it was potatoes. Obviously had a lot of fun harvesting that with the mud mod, and actually once the rain stopped it was fine. So yeah, really do like that mod for making, having to work around the weather and stuff. Very cool. So yeah, we need to get, I think it's wheat planted in there. So it's about 17 grand. Just have a quick check of the sales. So I tend to check the sales pretty much every day, at least a couple of times every game day, just to see if there's anything that we need in there or can buy, because we can only buy mods of the appropriate era. There is a trailer there that's kind of tempting, so we had a third grain trailer. That might be worth doing. It's not often that I'm struggling really for carting grain, but something to consider. So because we have potatoes in here, we are going to need to plough, and we're using the proper plough, not the slightly cheaty disc plough that we have. And yes, it is an in-furrow plough. So a couple of conversations with people, a bit of looking on Kverneland's website, and have confirmed this is indeed an in-furrow plough. So the fact that VCA was seeming to underestimate the working width, actually I think it was doing the correct thing. So when I enable VCA for the GPS function here, I'm just going to let it go at the width that it says, and yeah, it worked really well. No faffing about like last time with having to keep nudging the track over to really try and maximize the width. Made life much easier. So yeah, cracking on through the field. We do still have the rest of the maize field to get ploughed, but this one is the priority because I want to get the crop in the ground and the field rolled before the end of the month, because the sooner we get it in the ground, the quicker it'll be ready to harvest next year. I'm just trying to remember the field that was wheat, which I think is the other half of this field, is going to be barley next year, but I'm going to plant that in the spring because we've got a grass cover crop in there at the moment, and we'll see if we can get a cut grass off that and then get it ploughed in and the barley planted. So it kind of does mean that we do a bit more ploughing than maybe is optimal, but it means we don't have to worry about weeds and we get grass off it. So I'm not sure whether we could use the disc plough to turn the grass in. Probably not. We'll see. And I enjoy ploughing fields, so it's not a problem. And it's kind of nice that getting to use a big variety of tractors on this save, because we have a lot of tractors and all of the older ones still do a job, they still do a job perfectly well. I have just had a thought about something that I did on here. We'll see. I might have a bill to pay. We will see. I can't remember. Yeah, we'll get there. I mean, the tractor that I used to do, so because I'm trying to play with a nod to realism, we're not going to plant directly into the plough field. I am going to bring the disc harrow in, and we'll knock the ridges down a bit, get a bit of a seed bed going. And I think the tractor that I used for that doesn't have GPS, and I think I used GPS. So yes, so I'm going to pay the 15 grand to add GPS to this tractor, because I'm still using it quite a lot and I like using GPS. So yeah, oh well, hands up, I need to go add GPS to this tractor. Oh well, we've got the cash in the bank, so we're doing pretty good actually for money, and there are so many contracts stacked up that we should be doing even better. I'm somewhat hopeful that we will get to the point where we can buy a new field by spring, which would be cool. So that would be good. I'm not sure. The fields feel really big on here, and if we didn't have the split, if we buy a new field, we'll go down to essentially 3 fields, which would be okay actually, because although we're growing 4 crops, we're only really growing 3 types of crop, so that would be okay, I think. Yep, so that's the field disked. I do need to remember to go add a GPS in. At this point, I'm going to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. You are awesome. If you're interested in any of those, there are links or buttons below. And if you join the Patreon at the £5 or above tier, you get to take part in this and help out with some of the contracting and some of the farming work. It varies. Mostly doing contracting work with the contracting side of the farm. Back when this was on Maypole and land was cheaper, there were actually 2 separate yards and 2 separate farms. But now, because land's expensive, we have 1 yard and 1 farm. And that might be something that in the future I split off and we maybe create a contractor's yard, because we've got so much kit. Might be a thing that I do. Probably won't split the farms again. It's quite handy just having them as one. And it was 2 because of me having issues with letting people play on the save initially. So it was a way of me trying to manage my concern versus them just having freedom to play. But that's got better. So yeah, this is a somewhat shorter video today because a lot went on the editing room floor because it all felt very samey, and so some of it I didn't bother including. So, and in the end, when I rendered it, it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. You know, that's how it works out sometimes. I played a lot of farm sim this weekend. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to get the seed loaded up now. We need to get some seed and fert delivered. We've got seed, but we don't have any fert. So we'll get both delivered while the store is working for us. The other thing that I've been doing this weekend is doing some testing for a video later this week. And this morning I was trying to finish some of that off, and I am going to be starting attempt number 3 at that because I kept forgetting to change a game setting when I started. And it was negating a bunch of the results. So we're going to get the cherry bag lifter as well. It's a really nice mod that we're using on a Diddly Squat, and should probably have one on here as well. Yep. Yeah, I can't remember who. I think it might have been Neil that suggested it, but I'm not sure. The with contracts, you know, sometimes if you do a contract here, it seems like you take a lot of damage on your tractor and you use a lot of fuel. So is it cheaper to just take the hit on leasing the contracts kit or use your own and repair it? So I'm working on that. I'm doing a way of doing that. It may not be the exact way, but I'm doing a way of comparing those numbers. So fair bit of work so far, and I've got a couple more contract types that I want to do. I'm not doing all of the contract types. I'm doing a selection, and I made the mistake initially of going for really big fields because the bigger the numbers, the lower the error usually is in terms of variance of damage and stuff. But for some of them I've gone to a smaller map because of time, basically. A lot of these jobs, you know, because I'm doing each contract twice and the contracts take about an hour each, you can quickly add up how long things were taking. So, and I can't use anything cheaty like real speed because that affects how long things take and then probably affects the damage. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting video. I was a little bit surprised by the results, and one thing is that the results are going to vary depending on, you know, if you've got an old tractor that, you know, maybe needs repairing a bit more often, or different, more expensive kit, then it'll be different. But there was only, you know, really so many ways that I could do this, and I just picked one. So these were too heavy. I really should get the 3-point for the back of this because, one, we can put a weight on the back, and 2, we can start using it for stuff, which could be fun, you know. it is meant to be a vehicle that can do all of the jobs. I was going to say a farm but it's not a farm because that's the case. It's a turbo farmer. And I saw some really good videos a while ago of farmers. I think they were demoing the newer Merlot and using it for ploughing and seeding and everything really. And I guess if you're running a really small farm, you could probably do your whole, almost everything with just the one vehicle, which when things cost money, and if there's only one of you, so you don't need, so you can't have multiple jobs going on at once, why not? You might get a bit bored of sitting in the thing, and probably it doesn't do tractoring as well as a tractor, but it'll do tractoring, so yeah. It's an interesting concept. It fits into one of the series that I have on my list for the future, which is the tractorless farm, and that's quite a popular video idea. And basically, you use things like Unimogs, or probably I would use things like Unimogs or the turbo farmer. You get people using pickup trucks that have got 3 points on the back and all sorts of stuff. But I just think that's an interesting one. The other one that I would like to do again is the one tractor challenge. So the maize silage is ready. That was on Homeworld. That was a lot of fun. And I did it with using, I could do it on console. I did it using console only mods as well. I can't remember who set that challenge up. But that was a really fun series. Challenging, but really fun. So kind of would like to do that again at some point. But, and maybe as different series end, I'll do that just for some variety. So I'm not doing exactly the same thing all the time. We'll see. We will see. So yeah, wheat going in here, doing perfect FERT application. We can't do perfectly perfect because that's technology that doesn't exist for us at the moment. But we're doing perfect, and we won't have to weed, so we won't actually have to come back into this field. So we're not doing tramline, and I don't have Proceed installed in here. I probably should install it. But I think in most cases, we generally don't have to go back into the field. And I'm thinking that both our grain crops are followed by grass, which needs ploughing. We do potatoes and corn, which both need ploughing. So we don't actually ever have weeds. So as long as I apply FERT at seeding, we don't need to come back into our own fields at all. So we don't really need to do tram lines. That's interesting. That had not occurred to me because I was actually thinking about picking up the weeder that was in the sales, but we don't actually need one. So what I think I am going to pick up is probably a mulcher. And I'm a bit late with most of the fields, but I think in future we will look at using that just to eke a little bit more out of the fields. We've got, let me think, so most of the cornfield is ploughed in, so there's no point mulching that. The two fields that have grass cover crops in, I assume we can mulch grass, so that might be worth doing before we plough the grass in, I guess. And the target field I want is the field in front of us, field 8. It's 258,000, I think, so we're a little way off, particularly as I need to spend 15 grand on GPS. But hopefully we can get a bunch of contracts done over the next few game months and earn that money. And I would also think that probably we could borrow some money to buy the field. That might be an option that I think about. And for you, no time has passed, but I'm back. Just had to take a quick pause, and that has meant that I've forgotten. I was talking about maybe getting a loan out to cover the balance so we could buy that field. I think I'm going to either do the harvesting contract on that or let the field get harvested before we think about doing that. And then we probably, I'm just trying to think what I would do with crop wise. I'd probably stick with the crop rotation as we are for this time round, and just plant something in that field, maybe a cash crop in that field. And to be fair, for us, a cash crop could be silage. We could double down on the maize silage and get that sold as an option. Do a big old field of silage, and yeah, I would need to have a look at the crop rotation and see what goes well after potatoes. But I like that idea of doing some sort of cash crop in that field. Just thinking as well that I don't know what maps are going to be about, and it's quite a way off. But typically, I've only done this once. I moved after the second year of, did I do 3? I might do 3 harvests on here, because we came in at kind of a random point. Obviously, when I started back on Maypole, we started with harvest, so I think I did 3 harvests on this, and maybe we'll do that. So we could then include the next field in the rotation. That works. I like that idea. So, yeah. I'm just trying to think. Originally, I think this was meant to be, this was no loan. But what we had then was lease to own. And I got rid of lease to own because I felt that made things too easy. And I think with using the enhanced loan system, the fact that you have to repay part of the loan every month, I think that keeps in line with the hard challenge. And yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Should we use a bit of a bank loan we're currently debt free. We had to take out the loan to buy the farm. Whether we should take a little bit of a loan out so that we can buy field 8 over the winter. Basically, once it's harvested, before it gets planted, I'll try and buy it. So, but it will essentially be borrowing the difference between the cash we have and the cost of the field. But I think it would be nice to own it because it's kind of our corner of the map. And maybe I could split the field up a little bit because I do want to get some sheep. So we could maybe put some sheep in part of it. Maybe we could put some grass in part of it. So we've got more grassland, and maybe we could put a crop in part of it. Because it is a big field. It is a big field. So that's an option. Actually, one thing that something that Farmson Briscoe asked me about, he's reworking the oaks. And he was saying about maybe splitting up some of the bigger fields into small fields that then people could combine into a big field. And I think, my view, which is what I told him, is I think leave it the other way. Leave the big fields, and then if people feel they're too big, they can split them up. It's much easier to turn a big field, apart from the cost of buying the big field. But there are smaller fields on the oaks, so it's much easier to turn a big field into some small fields than it is to turn small fields into big fields sometimes because of the tree, cutting down trees, removing hedges, all that kind of stuff. And landscaping, and so my view is, if a map's meant to have big fields, leave the fields big and let people break them up if they need to, like we've done. In both of the arable fields that I've got, I brought and split in half straight away. And actually, for the farming that we're doing, that makes them nice sized fields. So probably that's what I would do on field 8. I think I would split it into 3. I think we'd have a bit of land for sheep, a bit of land for grass, and a bit of land for farming. Yeah. And that diversification might be good. I don't think I'll go down the route of maybe even do goats. I don't think I'm going to go down the route that I did on Greenlands of doing, wool to production to fabric to clothing, because that was a bit too much income, I think, for here, which is going to sound dumb to some people, but And it wouldn't be as much income because it's hard mode, so we would get paid less for them. But yeah, I don't know. Just kind of thinking, well, yeah, talking through my thoughts as they jump in my head. We're pretty much done. I'm going to save rolling for next time. As I say, the video was slightly shorter, but actually I recorded quite a lot and I played quite a lot, and just how the editing worked out. So yeah, we'll get the roller out next time. Maybe another different tractor. Maybe the the John Deere 44, the John Deere we brought. Not this John Deere, the other John Deere we brought. Maybe we could break that out. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click the like button. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, stick them below. And I will see you next time for some rolling and probably more ploughing, unfortunately. See ya.